These days, it feels like there's a lot of current events issues hanging over our head. And to be honest, the world just feels like it's cooked sometimes. For the generation of people aged like 20 to 30, like my age, there's an unprecedented amount of garbage piled up in front of us. And it just kind of has become the new normal. So it's easy, I think, to therefore feel that there's no reason to try on the individual level, just becoming apathetic. And in the grand scheme of things, like the past 125 years as a US citizen, I'm not sure if this time period is that bad. Like, I don't know anyone who experienced World War One, the Great Depression, World War Two, Korea, or Vietnam. And I don't know, man. Like, I think I'd rather be here right now than in any of those circumstances. And could you imagine if we had cell phones during the Great Depression or any of the wars of the 20th century? Like, while there was, of course, media that covered these issues during those times, it wasn't being filmed in 4K by someone with an orange iPhone. And, like, there was inter hemisphere worldwide catastrophe every 10 to 15 years. And it's like, we're aware of it. Like, of course, they do call the Korean War the Forgotten War, but we're aware of most of them, probably. But it's like we've forgotten how bad the times truly were back then. And more similar to the economic times recently, there was also rampant inflation in the 1970s. And it was like bad. Like, there was upwards of 15% inflation a year, with about an entire decade of inflation above 5%. We only had 2 years of inflation above 5% in the early 2020s post-COVID, and like people were rioting. And that doesn't sound near as bad on paper. Like, I don't think we can imagine how bad it was to experience a decade of 5% plus inflation. And there were other things that like contributed, and earning power was a little bit stronger back then. It's eroded more since the 1970s. But still, that's a lot of inflation, and that didn't sort itself out very quickly. Unfortunately, war in Iran and the potential of boots on the ground soon, at least what I'm seeing in the news, as well as the AI bubble with lingering inflation concerns, makes the times today feel precariously close to those situations, more and more of the bullet hole riddled, fiscally dominant 20th century. But I was just sitting here like, this feeling of dissatisfaction that I have can't be unique. I know it's not unique to me, but it's definitely not unique to our generation. I was just trying to imagine how it would have felt being drafted to go to Korea or Vietnam. Like, bro, I could not imagine even in the slightest living that life. I get so inconvenienced when I hit 2 stoplights red in a row on the way home from work, much less if I got sent to war. And if I don't get my couple episodes of Hulu and some YouTube in every day, I'm feeling pressed. So I was just like, dang, like, is this really who I become? A complainy person, easily thrown off my game? Really? I see the niches on YouTube that I follow, so I know I'm not the only one feeling this way. But I haven't seen anyone talk about how we start making a real change to affect the course of our trajectory. And I think what we do to really have an effect on this world that makes us feel so small and meaningless, the more I thought about it, this change has to come from the individual level. And recently, it felt like I woke up a little bit, like looked at certain aspects of my life and was like, this is not exactly who I imagined growing up and becoming. And if this is also you feel similarly, that's okay. Like, I think you're in the right place for that. I saw this podcast clip, oh my goodness, that I keep thinking about. And he said, close your eyes. No, really, close them now. I know it's silly, but trust me. He said, imagine you wake up in 10 years and you start reflecting on your life, and a feeling of dread washes over you. You feel dejected that you didn't live up to your own expectations, like you settled and were complacent and the world wasn't what you expected. So you ask your God, please, I beg you, let me have back the past 10 years so I may relive this the way I should have. And now open your eyes. You've seen into the future and your wish has been granted. The point of this exercise being that the life you want is already at your fingertips and it's available to you if you choose to start taking those actions. You're not going to achieve your dream life overnight, but it can start through taking actions, small actions every single day that add up to who you want to be. And no matter how small and meaningless these actions may seem in the grand scheme of things, like voting in local elections or just stacking healthy habits that you know you want to start, these tiny actions can stack up to be huge over the course of 10 years. And if my generation was as upset as they claim to be, they'd be out there voting at every possible election at every level of government, using their democratic right to vote for change. And we've all seen the voting stats for Gen Z. It's not good. And I have been to vote. There are very few young people. It's alarming. And did you know that 2016 was only 10 years ago? I remember when me and my friends decided that 2016 was just kind of a peak year for culture as an American citizen, maybe around the world too. And that was only 10 years ago. Lots of people taking small steps could make even 2036 a great year, maybe sooner. And when stuff like the news and social media commonly only covers the bad stuff, it feels like it's only getting worse out there daily. And it very well may be the overarching theme of late, but you still shouldn't let life pass you by. We forget how tough and resilient we are and how we can adapt to our surroundings. I don't think we've been around as long as we have because we gave up at the first sign of challenge. Pessimistic people and organizations will always find the bad in any situation and make it feel like the sky is falling. But you can't cave into their doom loop. And that feeling of not being satisfied is easy to blame on circumstances, but there's really no guarantee that different circumstances would result in a different perspective. You can only control your perspective now and play the hand that you're dealt. And if we're serious about changing how cooked our world may be, we gotta get out there and we gotta be the change that we wanna be. We can't just sit around and complain about it if we're not actually getting out there and showing that we care. If you want to be more informed, you can go to ballotready.org to find voter registration status and get information on upcoming elections at all levels. And you can put your friends on it too. And there are more ways to change our world than just voting, but voting is a pretty good start. And I definitely think that these days have been some of the hardest times in our generation, but we can figure this out.